Finally done milking out Code Vein. So, what do I do now? Crab Dark Souls? Sure, why not? Welcome to a Souls Lake with way too many crab puns. Another Crab's Treasure. I played this game off of a recommendation from a friend, and honestly, it did not disappoint. This game is based on a crab's adventure to secure, well, you may have guessed it already, some treasure. It's an interesting game with a familiar combat system that still somehow remains very different from what I've seen before. But you'll see that in my gameplay, so let's check it out and get into the shallows. Should probably start off with the basic story of it all. Loan Shark comes to town, tells you need to pay your damn taxes, but you're broke. So he takes your house and you set out on a journey to get treasure in order to get your house back. And this journey starts off in the shallows. This is the starting area of the game where you get taught the basic mechanics and have to learn the hard way that the iframes in this game are very unforgiving. And that's because the combat in this game is very blocking focused. But the gimmick is you can only block when you have a shell on your back. And every shell has different durabilities and will break eventually. Anyways, you fight the tutorial boss, you find out the voice acting in this game is actually pretty solid.
You think yourself above the law!
And then you make your way to the castle where you find the queen and she basically tells you to fuck off. So then you have to make your way to unlock the next of your abilities, the shell spells. Every shell has a different ability that you can use, which creates a lot of diversity in how you approach combat. Some spells are pretty niche and others are super strong. My shell is a giant fucking gun! I'm just trying to shot a crab! But now we gotta fight another mini boss and find out that crush attacks exist, and those immediately one-shot your shell. That's fun. So we beat that guy up, and then we meet the biggest of them all, Mr. Moonsnail. He allows upgrading, and now finally, after like an hour of gameplay, I can parry. Thank God. The parrying is a little different in this game as you have to block and let go at the perfect time, but nothing too strange. Now, after we finally obtain the power of parrying, we head back to the queen to find out that everyone has been eating bath salts and now we have to kill the queen. The queen is our first major boss fight in the game and it's a very good introduction because it's not too hard, but she has a couple moves that could really catch you while you're still learning the combat of the game. This is also where we find out that the main bosses in this game actually drop their own special ability for you to use. And the queen's one gives you a big claw attack that deals a sweep of damage and makes you deal more damage to any enemies hit by it. So now we are pretty much done in the shallows, and we must now venture out further into the reef's edge, and we must find our way into the main area of this game, the Sands Between. Wow, wonder where they got the name for this place. Now, before I get to the Sands Between, should probably backtrack a little bit to show off New Carcinia. The main town in this game, it's a generic main city with a couple shops and a lot of NPCs. Two separate districts, with the upper being the high-class posh people, and the lower being, well, the slums. And you can tell based off of what kind of junk they use for housing. This is where the story really starts moving along, as we find out about a map to a treasure and meet the big bad Roland, who is a rich isopod that owns a huge pollution company. Now, after all that happens, we can finally find ourselves in the Sands Between. The Sands is cool because it's an open area which allows you to choose where you go next. So I started venturing north into the grassy knoll, but I need to point out that this area is not safe to explore. There's a big boss crab named Pagaris that follows you around and quite literally tries to eat you. He is not fun to talk to. So let's just ignore him for now. Now, we find ourselves in the grassy knoll. This area is an underwater jungle of sorts with old terrain and a lot of greenery. It's a nice looking area, but god damn, the enemies are so annoying. For some reason, the devs decided this was the perfect spot for an irritating amount of bow users that are inconvenient to catch and do a lot of damage. These enemies hurt my soul, but I pushed through to the first mini-boss, which didn't really feel like a mini-boss, more like a big enemy, because it was rather easy, and I moved on very quick from it. Now, we get a bit more of the same and climb a big tower just to go down a big slide, whee! And find our way into an actually interesting mini-boss, Helkia. This is an interesting fight because it's most likely the first time you'll experience the intimidation status effect, which makes you hide in your shell. It's a very fun fight with a nice difficulty spike halfway through, but very fun. Also, this is where you will find the first piece of the map to progress the story. Woo! Now, onwards back into hell. Next is the Curdled Village, which is a hill with a lot of cover, but a sniper at the very top you need to take out. Fun gimmick in my opinion, but I can see it getting very annoying for some people. Now we near the end of this area, scuttling past some more big enemies to find our way to the Hidden Grotto. We arrive at our next main boss of the series, who is Tapoda, the Mantis Shrimp. First boss to give me a bit of trouble with a meme crushing attack, but overall, a very fair fight that forces you to figure out parrying. Also, for sure my favorite fight so far. When you beat Mr. Tapoda, he fires finds out you don't actually want to kill him and become friends. He helps you by upgrading the special skills you get from the main bosses and by also teaching you his own, the Mantis Punch, which becomes super cool once upgraded. And that leads to the end of the Grassy Knoll. Very solid area, with my only real complaint being way too many snipers, but that's also just my opinion. Oh, also, after I beat Topoda, I felt like the king of the world, so I went hunting for Pagaris and eventually beat him. He's surprisingly easy once you learn how to parry and find a spot without any fodder enemies to interrupt you. Turns out, you need to kill Pagaris anyways for the story progression because he holds the third map piece, but I did this a bit early. Anyways, on to Flotsam Runoff. This is the third and last area I played through so far in the game. Now, tell you the truth, I wandered in here a bit too early beforehand and got my ass kicked. The first enemy you see in this place is Roland's second in command, Inkerton, and fighting him while you're still new to the game is possible because you only need to do a quarter of his health bar, but it's certainly a bit too much of a hassle for me, which is why I went to the jungle instead. But now I'm back, and now that I can parry, this fight is super easy. I think it was simply made to catch you off guard and gatekeep new players. With that aside, this place is to the right of the Sands Between, and it's your typical Souls-like poison swamp. Wow, everyone's favorite. Lots of enemies around here, and they all shoot poison sludge pretty much, and a lot of parkour elements in this area. Venture further into this place and you'll find out that there's actually a little area that connects to a part of the Grassy Knoll, which is really cool. Makes the map feel very connected, but other than that, I don't really see the purpose. There's probably something else secret in here that I just haven't found yet, but oh well. Anyways, as you progress through this place, you start to see more and more junk from humans in an absolutely disgusting environment, which really drives home the pollution themes of this game, which I think is great level design, and it also helps reinforce Roland as an asshole, because he's the big man who runs this place. Anyways, we move along through this interesting area that isn't completely submerged with water and find our first mini-boss of the area. The Ceviche Sisters? The Ceviche Sisters? I don't know, whatever. 2 shrimps with guns, that works. Interesting mini-boss because unlike all other multi-enemy boss fights, it feels fair and not overwhelming by any means. But that also leads me to believe that it's a bit too easy. But now the pair's down and you actually get another special skill like what you get from Topoda. We can now shoot bubble bullets, very cool. Oh, and this mini-boss was actually the one hiding the third map piece, so you get that too. In the same kind of area, there's another mini-boss, the Crab Gladiator guy. He has a giant sledgehammer type weapon and a big shield. It's a very simple fight. It's just kind of you block and then you counter, but I'm not saying it's a bad fight at all. Just doesn't stick out too much. After this fight, we find a garage to progress, but we need to go back to New Carcinia first. And since we are in town, I should probably mention that the devs had a lot of fun making this game. Why is Imposter here? Why is Among Us a shell in this game? Yes, we can buy Among Us, and yes, I bought Among Us. Moving on, we found 3 pieces. We get a little cutscene with Roland, and now we can go into that garage. This entire next area is full of electric puzzles and magnet puzzles, which are all very simple, but I sure as hell did get lost here for a while. No mini bosses in this area, but there sure as hell is an annoying slew of enemies, because now the big hammer crabs that we find in the game have electric attacks, which I still haven't fully found out how to deal with, but oh well. Dodge roll always works. After another while of wandering about, we've run into another main boss in the series, Voltai, the electric eel. This is for sure the most unique boss in the game so far, as she appears out of the wall with 1 out of 4 potential weapons that each do different things. The hairdryer shoots projectiles, the toast shoots toast, the Wi-Fi booster shoots waves of electricity, and the microphone. Yeah, let's go with that. It buzzes and tries to hit you. Anyways, it's not too hard of a fight, but it's sure as hell a long one, especially when the second phase comes out and the floor is poisoned. But it's a solid fight. And that's all I have to say for this game so far. Now, obviously, I haven't covered everything, and I probably missed a lot, but this game is amazing. It stands on its own 2 feet with ease, with an interesting story, a fun combat system, very stupid jokes, and a lot of characters. If this is your first time hearing of it, go play another Crab's Treasure. It deserves it, 100%. And, haha, that's not me asking you. That's me threatening you. I have your family. Go play this game now. Anyways, that's besides the point. Come on, we can all get along. It's just a quick joke. That's it for this video. And if there's any other games or videos you want me to make in the future, just drop it down below. And if you could interact with this video in any way possible, it would mean the world to me. And that's all for now, so thanks for watching.